Hello and welcome. This is a beginner guide to 3D printing. First, let's talk about what 3D printing is. 3D printing is additive manufacturing. Additive meaning to create something via adding material. There are multiple different types of 3D printers out there, like SLA, SLS, FDM, and PolyJet. For this video, I will be explaining how to use FDM printing because it's the most common way of 3D printing. SLA being the second, and the rest are more industrialist than hobbyist. Here's a quick summary of all of them. FDM. FDM stands for Fused Deposition Modeling. FDM uses a hot end to melt plastic, which then it also pushes it out to make layers until you have a 3D printed object. FDM can print in multicolor using some multicolor system of some sort like AMS. Some other printers have their own brand of multicolor systems. For example, Bamboo Lab has AMS. Creality has their own little machine or whatever it's called. It's some off-brand version, but it works. It does the same thing. SLA. SLA stands for stereolithography. SLA prints upside down versus FDM printing right side up. SLA uses resin and a UV laser to cure a layer of material until you have multiple layers, in which then you finally will end up with a full 3D printed object. However, SLA is way more slow than FDM, and the resin is kind of toxic in the sense that touching it can cause a rash, but also the fumes are toxic. Lastly, SLA is more expensive than FDM. For SLA, you also need like a UV curing station, and then a resin bath, which will wash off the extra resin from the print. SLA does not print in multicolor. For most people, they just paint over it. SLS. Next up, we have SLS. SLS stands for Selective Laser Sintering. SLS is really only available for industrial use. There are some hobbyist products out there, but it's very rare because it's more toxic than SLA, and it is kind of dangerous to have in your house. However, the safety is kind of controversial. According to multiple sources, SLS printing is safe when handled carefully. However, I was taught that it was not safe and kind of quite toxic. This is due to the fine powder that is used for SLS and the fumes that come from using this printer. The way that this printer works is like the rest. It's very similar to SLA in the sense that it uses some sort of laser that will fuse the metal together to create layers, or I think it's nylon that they use. These layers will then turn into a full 3D printed object. SLS does not print in multicolor. PolyJet. Lastly, there is PolyJet, which is really just a gatekeeping company. In short, PolyJet is really just a UV resin SLA printer on steroids. PolyJet can print in multicolor. PolyJet is also exponentially more expensive than the SLA printers. The way a PolyJet printer works is similar to how a standard printer paper works. It uses some sort of head that has different nozzles that spray different colors in a back and forth motion, or usually it's actually, I think on the earlier models, it was a back and forth motion, but on the J55, it uses a base plate that spins around the head, in which the head will add a layer of resin while it's spinning, and then there's a UV bar that cures this layer of resin until you have a full 3D printed object, and it's pretty cool. This is a very slow process, and the printer is way more industrial than hobbyist because, it's really expensive and the size of it is pretty big. Not to mention the actual cost for the resin is pretty high because they're like printer cartridges. You have, cyan, yellow, all those like normal colors, black, white, all those colors you need to get a good print. Okay, now, what's needed for a good print? Okay, first, we need plastic, in which it comes in a spool, which is called filament. Basically, this is really just one extremely long strand of plastic that's wrapped into a coil, which is called filament. There are many different types of plastics out there. The ones that are mostly used include PLA, TPU, PETG, and ABS. Each one has to print at a specific temperature. Some special filaments with carbon will require a stronger nozzle. PLA is the most common because it's cheap and easy to print. Then you need an extruder / hot end, in which this is the part that melts the plastic and pushes it out. And depending on the printer, the extruder can also move left and right. For FDM, there are two different types of printers, which are bed slingers and Core X5. What this means is basically a bed slinker has the bed move, in which this is the y-axis, so this way, flat, like do. And the extruder can move up and down and left and right, so z and x. On a core xy, the extruder can move left, right, and y. However, it does not move up and down. This time, the bed actually moves up and down. And that's the difference between core XY and bed slingers. Now let's move on to the two different ways of extruding. So the two different ways of extruding are called Bowden and direct drive. On direct drive, the motor is usually connected to the hot end. So you'll have the motor that pushes the filament, like pulls the filament into the hot end, which sits like right on top of the hot end, which can move this way or this and this way depending on the printer. Bowen extruders usually have the actual motor that pushes the filament on the frame, so usually the x-axis, and it's usually on the left side from what I've seen and from personal experience. Okay, so the next thing to get good print is good bed adhesion. So on these printers, the bed also heats up, which basically makes it so the plastic can actually stick to the plate. And it also prevents warping, which basically means the first layer will cool down too quickly and curl up because it's cooling down too quickly. However, there are some very special plates out there that have some sort of weird magic science going on to make the plastic stick to them without any heat, in which these are called cold plates. Then, the bed also needs to be even and level. If not, the extruder will either extrude too far or too close to the bed, in which this can create a terrible first layer. You want a good first layer because it will determine the success rate of your print. However, you can kind of get a print with the bad first layer. However, there's going to be a lot of warping and it could actually fail. Another thing is if it's too far, it can create an overflow which can damage the extruder. Okay, so how do you get a level bed? Well, it depends. Some printers can do it automatically and some you have to do manually, in which the ones that you have to do manually can be very dang hard. However, some people really enjoy this because it's kind of, satisfying to them, but I don't really enjoy it. I like my plug and play printer, to be honest. Sometimes I do enjoy it, but usually I just want to print, But, okay, so on a manual leveling bed, there will be 4 corners, in which there's a dial on each corner, in which you can turn it left or right, which will move the bed either up or down in that specific corner. So now that you know how to use those dials, you have to get the extruder to each corner, in which you can use the controls in the printer menu. What you want to do is have the extruder be moved to one of those corners and be 1 millimeter above the bed. This is so you don't damage the bed if the bed is too high. But first you need to home the printer, in which you just need to click the homing button in the settings, which just moves each axis to a certain point on each axis, in which, for example, let's say if the x-axis is homing, the head will move to the left until it hits some sort of sensor. Sometimes some fancy printers don't have a sensor and they can just detect the current change in the motor. So when the current changes, it stops the motor and then sets that point 0. But before it does that, it moves the extruder to the right a little bit and then moves it back to the left to verify, in which then that point will be set to 0. On end stop sensors, all it does is push a switch which tells the printers to stop the motor and do the verification movement. So now that the printer is finally homed, you can move it to each point. So using the controls, you're going to move the extruder to each corner. It doesn't really matter what corner you start at, but just remember where you start at, because it'll be important later. So once you have it down at that corner, you're going to get a piece of paper and put it under there. And if it moves, good. But if it doesn't move, or if it's hard to get under, just adjust the dial so then the bed moves down a little bit so you can push the piece of paper under the extruder. Once it's under the extruder, you want to move the extruder down to 0, in which then the extruder will be 0 millimeters away from the bed. So really just right above the bed. And what you want to do is try and move the piece of paper. And if it moves freely, you're going to want to move the bed upward. And if it doesn't move, you want to move it down. You just basically want a little bit of friction, in which it's basically trying to drag a piece of sticky note across a desk. So then you'll do that with each corner. And I would recommend doing it twice, because when you move one corner, it kind of moves the other corners a little bit. And another thing you want to keep in mind is you will want to heat the bed up to standard printing temp. So for PLA, it's around 60 Celsius. This is because heat expands metal. And so if you were to level it cold and then heat it up when you're printing it, is going to be slightly unleveled now because heat expands metal. So that's why it's so important to level it, heat it. So how does automatic leveling work? Well, it's very simple. You just press a button either in the printer menu or right before you're about to print in the slicer, which I'll get to in a moment. Basically what that does is it moves to like 16 points on the bed, moves the head down and touches the bed, usually with the nozzle. It basically does the same thing as homing, except it basically lets the printer know at this point the bed is plus or minus a certain like number. So like, you know, this point is like maybe a little lower than this point, you know what I mean? And basically what that does is it will create a bed mesh or a bed map. So the printer will know, okay, at this point we gotta move up a little bit, and at this point we gotta move a little closer. So when printing, you'll get a perfect first layer because the printer will compensate. It's important to know automatic leveling does not actually move the bed, it's just compensation. And for automatic leveling, you don't even have to heat the bed because it'll do it for you. Printers can use different sensors for this method. However, that doesn't really matter because each sensor does the same thing. Supports. Supports are very basic, but are supports. Some 3D models may need to use supports to properly print, in which this is just a generated structure that will hold impossible overhangs. So basically, if let's say the printer, okay, let's say you have a 3D model that's like vertical, okay? It's like a 4x4 vertical pillar, okay? However, you have this one point that's hanging off like this, so the pillar's like this and you have this part. The printer cannot print on air. That is literally impossible, unfortunately. So, in order to fix this, you will enable supports. So there's two types of supports, tree supports and line supports. Tree supports are a little better because they're easier to take off and they work better. Supports are very simple because all you gotta do is really just check a checkbox and you're good to go. Slicer. So, now, let's talk about the slicer. What is a slicer? A slicer is a software that will turn a 3D model into code a printer can understand. The slicer is where you add supports and mess with other settings. These settings usually are either with the filament or the printer. You really, as a beginner, you really don't have to mess with these settings unless you're an advanced 3D printer hobbyist who likes to build 3D printers from scratch and code them from scratch and set settings from scratch, in which I don't think you're going to want to do because it's very time consuming and can be very frustrating. Also, in the slicer, you can view the layers and see how it's going to print. You also need to select the right printer and printing material. A lot of slicers now include a community-based 3D model library, in which you can download free 3D models that the community made and print them on your printer in just one click of a button. You can also just make your own 3D models, which is pretty cool. And all you gotta do is just drag them into the slicer and slice it, and then click print. So it's pretty much the same. Okay, so now we're ready to print, which is extremely easy to do so. For example, I will walk you through printing from the Bamboo A1 from the box. Don't worry, it's fast and easy. Also, it may be important to understand that Bamboo Lab is basically the Apple of 3D printers. However, they're not like extremely expensive, but they are kind of expensive for beginner printers. However, that can be an investment because they're really just plug and play. You don't even have to do leveling, and it's literally just plug and play. And you'll find out in a second here what I mean by that. So all you gotta do is take it out of the box, follow the instructions. So really just screw some screws in, cut some zip ties, connect some wires, plug it in, and you're good to go. The printer will have you run through some automatic calibrations which will make the printer print at full quality in the sense that it just compensates for any error of the build. Because every printer is really not going to be the same, so you kind of have to have some sort of compensation for that. The printer may also have you run a Benji, which is this. This is a Benji, in which it's really just a silly little boat that can really show how our printer prints. It can also show some of the artifacts that your printer may produce, in which Bamboo Lab really has like none. Then you're going to want to connect it to the internet and bind it to your phone, in which now you can send files to it wirelessly through your phone. So now all you got to do is send a print and it will automatically print, and before you know it, you have your first 3D printed object, and now you're all done. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video was meaningful and interesting, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.